Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. I'm just taking this in for a second. This is pretty special to come back home, to a franchise who I grew up watching right up. Before I get going, I'd like to thank Arthur and the Blank family for entrusting me this leadership role to work alongside Greg and Matt and Kevin to help push us forward and push this organization forward. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank the search committee, along with Matt and Greg, Russ and Webster, along with some others. It was a thorough process, a detailed process. I remember mentioning it in one of my interviews, how appreciative I was to be a part of that process. And I knew, along with other things, I wanted to be a part of this organization because of their process and their attention to detail, their intentionality behind things. So thank you for that. You know, Matt just touched it. We're in the award season, so I have a lot of thank yous, but I won't get into too many. But just want to start with Steve Bisciotti, Ozzie Newsome, Eric DaCosta, the Baltimore Ravens organization. They took a chance on a 22, 23-year-old knucklehead, gave me a job, taught me the way, taught me what scouting was from the ground up. Forever grateful and indebted to them for believing in me. And I want to say thank you to Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, the Eagles organization for everything that they've done for me, allowing me to be a director of scouting or director of college scouting and working my way up in leadership roles, but also teaching me the nuances of the game from a different lens and roster construction and team building. And I'd like to say thank you to George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, Ted Phillips, Ryan Poles, and the Bears organization. It's been a long 4 years. They've wrapped their arms around me, gave me an opportunity when they never gave an opportunity to assistant GM, and that storied franchise's history. Forever appreciative of that and thankful for them, and especially Ryan. Obviously, Matt has a longer relationship with him, but we went through the fire together, and we started off a little rocky, and to be able to come out the other end this past season with the NFC North title, the journey, that was fun. That was fun to be a part of. So thank you there. And then all the players that have been a part of this ride, I wouldn't be here without them. All the success that they showed on the field allowed us success. It's always about the players. It's going to be always about the players. So I want to thank them as well. My Wynn family who's here, Clint Dowdle, Andy Hansen, Jocks McClendon, thank you for your belief in me. I appreciate that. And lastly, my family. My dad's in the back, where he's always in the back every single game. When I was growing up, he was always in the back. So he's still in the back. Love you, man. Thank you. It's been a fun ride. His wife, Debbie, thank you. My mom, who couldn't be here. My Aunt Cheryl, who's like a mother to me. She's been on this journey the whole way. So thank you for that. And then my family, Elliot, Rooney, and Niall, you guys are my why. You're my purpose. Thank you. The sacrifices that you guys make every day, thank you. There's this thing that, people say, the best thing in life you can give your family, your kids, is time. Unfortunately, in this business, we don't have a lot of time to give. You guys know that as well. But I try to be intentional with that time. I try to maximize that time. But, the best thing in life that I could ever give you guys is your mom. So, Justine, love you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. Dang, I got choked up, man.
Well done. Well done.
All right. We'll open up for questions. Thank you.
We'll go to questions. We have mics on both sides with Matt and Jarvis. Please state your name and affiliation and who your question is for. And we'll start right over here in front with Matt.
This question is for Ian. Jarvis Davis of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Ian, you talked about how Howie Roseman and Ozzie Newsome and Ryan Poles had an effect on you. How do you feel your experiences with them prepared you for this moment?
Yeah, Jarvis, good question. You try to take things from all the people you come across, good and bad. You try to learn from all those experiences. And fortunately enough for me, I've been around some of the greats to ever do it, right? And if I can be half as good as them, that's what I'm striving for. I'm trying to be as good as them. But yeah, you learn a little bit of everything from all your people that you come across, and having Oz and Howie and Eric and Ryan amongst others, learned a lot from them.
I'll go to Tori and then to Mark Ramondi.
Hi, Ian. Tori McElhaney, AtlantaFalcons.com. I found a old newspaper clipping from 2007. I believe it was December 2007. Richmond Dispatch Times Dispatch.
Richmond Times Dispatch.
Yeah, it was right before your final game of your football playing career in college. And in that, you and your dad both said that the goal was to become a general manager one day. I know you've kind of gone through your whole career thanking people, but when you look back on kind of that person, what would you say to that person now sitting here today achieving that?
Oh, great question. Oh, man. I actually learned what a general manager was because my dad was, I grew up in the sports and entertainment business because of my dad. So I got a chance to know that there were other opportunities, other avenues outside of just coaching and playing. And I learned that probably around this time when I was living here, like middle school, high school. So I always knew I wanted to be a general manager since, those days. And I thought I'd have a little bit longer playing career like this guy, but I didn't. I wasn't very good. So, but I knew I wanted to get into roster building and team construction. And I'd probably tell that guy, we did it. You stay true to your values. You did it the right way. I'm sure you wanted it to happen a lot longer or a lot quicker, but it happened in the right time. And I've learned a lot along the way, and I'm appreciative of that.
For Mark Ramondi and then hometown Brandon Leak.
Hey, and Mark Ramondi with ESPN. How are you? Congrats.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Matt and Kevin were up here talking last week about, the vision for this team, and two of the big words they used were smart and physical. How can that vision kind of take shape from a personnel standpoint, would you say?
Oh, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be smart, tough, physical, mentally and physically tough, right? And that's a part of the process that we're going to instill and input with our scouting staff, both college and pro scouting. We're going to look at those things along the way during our college trips and through the evaluation process. Talking to different people at different schools and watching tape. I think you can kind of see some of those things when you evaluate the tape. But that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to be built on.
Home team.
Here you go, Coach. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Home team, Brandon Leak from Sports Radio 680 The Fan. You have been in championship organizations with the Baltimore Ravens and the Eagles. Is there a common DNA, a championship DNA that's common between winning and making the entire journey through a Super Bowl win? And what are the things you've learned during your time in both of those organizations that you personally could use as amplification of those things you've already learned?
Yeah, great question, Brandon. Kind of what we just talked about there. Smart, tough, physical. We're going to build through the trenches. If you look at all those teams, that's the philosophy. Draft, develop, and retain. That's going to be our philosophy here too. You can't have enough draft picks. We did that in Baltimore. You want to retain your own. So that's what we're going to do. Those are common themes that they both had. So we'll bring that here as well.
From Miles and over to Joe Patrick.
Hey, Ian. Miles Garrett, Fox 5 Sports. Welcome back to Atlanta and welcome back to Roswell. It's a good spot. You obviously mentioned the people you've worked with, Ozzie Newsome, Ryan Poles, and Howie Roseman. Was there one specific element that you took from all those guys that you want to implement in your own journey now as general manager of the Falcons?
The discipline. They have discipline in different ways. But at the end of the day, it's discipline to the process, the plan. You've got to always, be prepared to pivot. But the process and the plan are critical. And I've learned that from all three of those guys.
You go Joe and then Mark Zeno and then Allison.
I have one for each, if that's okay. Ian, I just wanted to just know, I know you mentioned that you're from here, kind of have some memories of watching the Falcons. I was just curious about that. And then for Matt, I also wanted to ask, when you're going through all of these interviews with potential GMs, they're all, very well respected and credentialed. So what are exactly you trying to tease out out of all of these interviews, and what separated Ian?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah. Growing up here, I literally got my first pair of dress shoes at Friedman Shoes right downtown, right around the corner, right? My family has bricks in Centennial Park, I remember, back in the mid-90s, Chris Chandler, Jamal Anderson. I was offensive lineman, so Bob Whitfield, right? This husky kid in my kitchen trying to do the Dirty Bird, still can't do it. My daughter's a dancer. I'm sure she'll teach me one day. But those are the memories I had, growing up here. And the city was electric. It was on fire during the mid-90s with the Olympics and the Braves. So those are core memories that I hope that I can be a small part of bringing back to the city.
Yeah, I think from my perspective and our perspective as a search committee, we were looking for somebody in this position that was well-versed in terms of their experience and has touched all of the different parts of scouting. That was something that was important for us because there's a lot that falls under Ian's control. And so you want somebody who is comfortable, who understands each individual's role in his department. So that was something that was really big. Aligned vision on how to build a football team, of what wins games and the type of players that you want to bring into the building. That was something that was really important to us. And then I think that the digging and diving was on the process of what does his process look like? How's that going to look when you come in and you're in control of that? I believe we were very thorough in both searches, but specifically on the general manager front, very thorough in terms of vetting the candidates, of having multiple different conversations with each candidate to try and flush out what we felt like was the best process. And I think Ian was outstanding in that department, and we feel very strongly about his vision for us moving forward.
Allison, and then we'll come over here.
Hey, Allison with Channel 2 in Atlanta. I was listening to a podcast that you'd done a couple years ago, and I thought it was interesting. You said you were inspired by the future, but also afraid of falling behind. So how will you use that mentality to become a great GM for the Atlanta Falcons? And how do you view this roster? Do you think this is like a win now roster, or still needs a few pieces to get there?
Yeah, I think one of the tougher things just being in this position and building is you've got to be in the now and you've got to be in the future. So I never want to mortgage the future for the now. You've got to be intentional and thoughtful in that approach. In this roster, the cupboard isn't bare, right? We have talent on this roster, but it's going to be my job to continue to add competition to it, to enhance it and help Kevin and his staff get the right players in here so we can consistently compete for championships.
And then we'll go to Arch.
Hi, Vincent Simone, CBS News Atlanta. My question is for Ian, but Matt, first, we miss you at CBS, so just hope you're enjoying your new gig.
Thank you, Vincent.
So Ian, obviously a unique situation coming in as a GM here, but having someone else to report to. What, throughout the process, what made you comfortable with that arrangement, and how do you see this partnership working out in the future?
Yeah, it's the aligned vision. I feel like Matt and I and Kevin were cut from the same cloth. We were joking about this. His college coach, Tom O'Brien, my college coach, Al Groh, come from that Belichick, Parcells, Coughlin tree. So we see things very similarly. In that way, the reporting structure, I love it. Having a guy like him that knows the lay of the land, who's a legend in the city. I can pick his brain just from a player standpoint and what it was like in the locker room and on a consistent basis. We've already had some really good conversations of that. So why not, man? That's a luxury. That's a perk to be able to pick this guy's brain every single day and build that relationship for now and a long time.
Go Arch, and then to Ken Segura and Mark Zeno, sorry.
Dave Archer, AtlantaFalcons.com, Atlanta Falcons Radio Network. Ian, you were a very sought after guy. I would assume that there was an interview process that you were putting the Atlanta Falcons through as they were putting you through theirs. How much was it music to your ears to align with what Kevin Stefanski said about coming off the ball and getting after people physically and dominating the line of scrimmage? How much of that kind of blend with what you're talking about?
Yeah, both of these guys are Philly tough, right? So I'm an offensive lineman, so it was music to my ears that they have that vision. But in the process, it's for me, it's the fit, right? And to have an owner like Arthur, his values and what he stands for in our first interaction, it felt natural. It felt like this is where I belong, right? We have similar values, and it felt easy, and I wanted to be here since day one, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I'm appreciative to be in this situation and ready to roll.
Let's go to Mark Zeno, then Ken.
Mark Zeno, ESPN on 92.9 The Game here in Atlanta. Two-part question here from Matt and Ian. Number one, clarifying from last week, is Michael Penix the starter as soon as he is healthy? And if not, is there a plan for competition to bring him in?
Well, neither of us are the head coach of the football team, so we can't answer your question on that. But, I think all of us are going to get together as Ian's been a part of it for, I guess, 3 days. Yeah, 3 days, and has had a lot on his plate during that time. I think, as we start to get into this process and dive deeper into the roster, how it currently stands, where it's, going in the future, I think those are conversations that'll be a part of it. Quarterback's obviously very important, and we're, excited about Mike and what he's doing with his rehab. I've been up at the facility the last, 3 weeks, and Michael's been in there attacking that, and he's in a good space right now. So we're excited about where he's at, but certainly a lot of discussions for us about the entire roster.
Ken?
I have one question for both of you. Ken Seguir with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. First, Matt, my question is, obviously, I'm sure you feel very good and confident about what the decisions you guys have made, but is there a party that's like, man, I hope this works out? And then
yes, Ken.
Okay. I can expand on that. But then Ian, too, this is Matt's first time in this job as the guy interviewing candidates, and you've been in that case on the other side. But I'm curious, kind of, what is that? How would you evaluate his job? How would you compare and contrast the kind of the questions he's asking, the way he conducted interviews with other people in that position in your time as a candidate?
I'll start. Of course, you hope decisions that you make work out. But that's what your process and that's what all of your work during that time is for, is to try and make the best decisions, with the information that you have available to you. And we've got a great group of really smart people that see it differently, and kind of, have different opinions on things. And I think that part of our process was extremely healthy. But I have a ton of confidence in both Kevin and Ian, given, their experiences in the past, given the type of people that they are, given the amount of reference work that we've done with people who have worked with them, at different stops along the way. So yeah, you're hopeful. I mean, everybody's hopeful, but I'm also very confident in the people that we brought into this building.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed with Matt just for being in the seat for only a couple days. The questions that he was asking, I think it comes back to, him being a quarterback for so many years, the face of the franchise, and seeing a lot of different things along the way. And in his journey, he was asking questions that most people don't ask right off the bat. And I remember being on the plane, watching Kevin, his introductory press conference, and just how Matt was with his presentation. And it was like he's been in the seat for a long time. So I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Just can't wait to continue to work with them and push forward.
Let's go back to home team and then to Joe Patrick.
For both Ian and Matt, for Ian, as you guys approach the calendar for the NFL draft and draft boards. What is it that you need from Matt? It says he has a newly created position. And for Matt, what are you most interested in learning from Ian since he's been in charge of scouting and he's been an assistant GM? Is it something in the draft? And what are you most interested in learning from somebody who has a great deal of acumen throughout different organizations in his career?
Yeah, we're going to start that process here next Monday with draft meetings, and Matt's going to be in there when he can. And like, I'm going to like picking his brain just from what he sees. You want diversity of thought, you want different perspectives, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the scouts, right? It's going to be analytics, it's going to be our crew, but we're definitely going to take, and then the coaches come in. So I'm definitely going to pick his brain. Why wouldn't I? You know, he's a great resource to have.
I think from my perspective, it's a lot of listening. And I always felt that way, you know, as a player, as a young player coming in. I had great coaches that got me up to speed quickly. But it was a lot of listening. And that never really changed, you know, throughout my playing career. It was, you know, how much can I learn from the people around me and where can I provide value with the comments that I have. But I'm looking forward to getting started. I've never sat in a draft meeting, so I look forward to learning a lot on Monday.
Joe Patrick.
Yeah, Ian, when you, by the way, I'm Joe Patrick, 92.9 The Game. I don't know if I did that the first time. When you look at this team, I mean, this team beat the Bills last year. They beat the Rams, but then they also had some embarrassing results. So how do you kind of see this team? How do you size up this Falcons team that is clearly, I think, talented enough to beat some of those teams? But how do you build a team that can play with the level of consistency that I'm sure you idealize?
Yeah, Joe, I think you got to leave the past in the past first, right? And I think now we're going to be a completely different team moving forward. We've got some RFAs and UFAs that we're going to have to make some decisions on. But like Matt said, you know, got here 3 days. Yesterday was my first day in the office. I'm still trying to find where everything is. Probably could have had a better tour guide.
Oh, man.
But, you know, and so
I'll be honest, that building has changed a lot. Arthur's done a great job. Greg, the team, they've done a great job of outfitting that building. It's a little different than when I was there. That's right.
But we'll get there.
Back over to Jarvis.
Hey, Ian, real quick, I just want to ask you about like your philosophy. You know, people talk about the eyeball test and then analytics. Like, I want to know, do you have a preference? Do you prefer one over the other, or is it kind of balanced, or how do you kind of work through that as far as like eyeball test versus analytics?
Yeah, good question. The foundation is going to be evaluation and scouting, and we're going to scout with our eyes, and then you have analytics come in to help inform our decision making, right? To help us maybe answer some questions that we thought we saw, maybe ask some questions that need to be asked, and allow us to do a deeper dive. But you blend the two, and it's not just an analytics and scouting; it's an overall decision making across the board in football operations.
Mark, and then Miles, and then back to Ken. Mark Zeno. Sorry.
From your time in Baltimore and in Philadelphia and Chicago now to here, how do you close the gap as a GM based on what you see off tape and what you want it to translate to on the field from a college player to the NFL? I mean, how do you close that gap to make sure that what you're seeing on tape will translate when you're making a selection? And how much does the coaching in your mind, putting that player with the coaching staff that you have that works, matter?
Yeah. I wish it was an exact science because I think we'd all get it right, but it's not. You try to ask as many questions as you can throughout the process. You try to blend all the resources that we have from our coaches, staff, and how do they see this player fitting in their scheme? Has he fit within our community and our building? Do we have the resources necessary to help this player continue to grow and develop? It's a projection, right? And that's why we try to use as many resources as we can to help make an informed decision. But as an evaluator, as a scout, personnel person now as a GM, you wish that you bat 1,000 every single time. Unfortunately, we're not, but we're going to try to.
Miles, Ken, and Allison.
Matt, my question, I'm kind of curious now that all these positions are filled out with Ian and Kevin now in the building, this being a new position for yourself and kind of for the team, what does your job now look like going forward with all these hires now in place? You guys can kind of coordinate going forward. What does that look like for you?
Well, apparently Monday, it looks like going to the draft meetings and learning what that looks like. No, I think, Miles, it is, the ability to support these guys in the best way possible. And what does that look like? That looks like support in the building on the day-to-day. It looks like support from external things that we have to do. It's going to be an important thing. I think it's fluid, day-to-day or week to week, depending on the time of the year, what that might look like. I think there's a real evaluation of everything in our building that we have to look at, making sure that all departments are operating at full strength and the best we can, because these are two very important positions that we have hired, and they set the tone, for how we're going to operate. But I mean, you guys have all been up there at Flowery Branch. There's a lot of people in that building, and their roles are just as significant as anybody else's. And it's going to be really important for us now to dive into all of those different departments and, find ways for us to incrementally improve. And, that job starts Monday.
Ken?
Ian, I have a two-part question. One, I've been to a few of these, and I've heard a lot of people talk about we want tough, physical, smart players. I've yet to be at one where they said we want dumb, soft, finesse players. So what is it that you're going to do that's going to differentiate your ability to find these players than your other 31 competitors? And I guess to that end, I'll let you pat yourself on the back a little bit. Is there one or two guys that you can look back like, oh, we could project this guy, whether it's Jordan Mailata or someone else, that you saw something maybe that others didn't, that enabled you and your team to build the kind of teams you have?
Yeah, good question. For us, it's going to be the process, right? I got to prove it, right? I got to prove it. And I feel like the track record, the places I've been, it's shown that that's what we believe in. And we've proven that along the way. And now it's my job to prove it here, right? And I look forward to doing that and earning their respect and everybody's respect here. But I look forward to doing that.
But Allison, and then we'll have time for one or two more.
Ian, I know you've only been here for a few days, but at a quick glance, just looking at this roster, what are your overall impressions, especially with some of the players like a Bijan Robinson, AJ Terrell, Drake London, and those type of things?
Yeah, it's like I said, the cupboard isn't bare. We have talented players here, and I'm looking forward to being a part of adding talent to this roster to help Kevin and our staff consistently compete for championships.
Mark, and then we'll wrap it up right over here.
Again, Mark Zeno, ESPN 92.9. Ian, what's your philosophy towards the salary cap and how you want to manage that? Is it pay the bill when it's due at the end of the month, or are we looking to sort of, think long-term and strategize on how you want to do that?
Yeah, we're always going to be thinking long term, but like I said earlier, you got to think about it in the now and you got to look at it in the future. You don't want to have too much dead money, those sorts of things. We're going to be creative. We're going to be innovative in that area moving forward. And again, I have a meeting with those guys here tomorrow, so we'll get going here shortly.
All right, last one right here.
Hey, Ian, Reggie Chapman, 11 Live TV here in Atlanta. I'm curious, you mentioned a little bit earlier in the presser about having a lot of draft picks and making sure you have that stuff kind of figured out. How do you kind of strike that balance of having draft picks, but also being aggressive, maybe making moves? Where do you kind of stand on that?
Yeah, I love picks, man. So you use those as currency, right? You can use it as trading up. You can trade for players, proven players. It allows you more swings at the plate. So there's different ways you can use them, but that's why we value them. That's why we will value them. We only have 5 right now, but we only had 5 in Chicago my first year there too, and I think we ended up with 10. So we love those picks, and we're going to definitely build through the draft that way.
All right, thank you all. We're going to clear off the table and get set up for some pitchers. Ian's next availability will be at the Combine in Indianapolis, and we really appreciate you being here today. Give us just a minute to get this stage reset. Thank you.
My savage, money man in the thing of a T and playing no games. Should already know my name when I speak NCC flame. Got my YouTube poppin', man. Like, subscribing, everything in between. You already know. Money man, you already know.